fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. The campaign is Horror on the Orient Express. It is available from Chaosium. I am the Keeper of Arcane Lore, and this is episode 53. Our recap will be given by Stuart Lively as his character, Theodore Thursby III. So without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. Stu?
Thanks, Tom. We go with our young tour guide to the Tower Museum and find nothing of note. We then head to the bazaar and notice that the fortune teller is no longer there. Later on, Gunther's library research discovered during the Byzantine Empire, the brothel to Cybele in the forest Mosia was discovered to have hellish activities similar in nature to what we have recently run into. That evening, I again hear the summoning horns beckoning me to go north. Blast these damn demons. Dear Lord, my temperature is 40 degrees Fahrenheit. What is happening to me? Next day, we get our forms from the Treasury Department, then off to the museum. Father Vlodin Velasevich assisting us. We get our directions and jump on the train out to Maldinovich. Dorian is accosted by a difficult chicken along the way. Onwards to Orsich, where the famous rebellion in 1801 occurred. We arrived at the very remote village, where the residents mostly welcome us warmly. Some of us are boarded with the priest of the town, the rest with the mayor of the town. We are invited to attend their very bizarre annual ritual in the evening. Concerned from a quite bizarre event, we turn in for the evening. However, later that evening, I hear noises. Downstairs, I sneak down, hearing three women speaking in hushed voices, but not in Serbian, something else, something bizarre, spying into the kitchen. It's Anna talking to two others, but no one else is there. Caught by your eye. I get some tea from her, that's it, that's what I'll say. Quite disturbed, I return upstairs to discuss what I found.
So you return upstairs to discuss what you found. Everybody else is asleep.
Dorian. It is Dorian I'm with. Yeah. Dorian. Wake up, Dorian.
Oh, what? Who is it? Hello?
Dorian, it's me. It's Teddy.
What time is it?
It's 2 a.m.
Sure.
It's 2 a.m. But downstairs it's Anna was talking to some people in some weird language, but no one was there. She was speaking to invisible people in the kitchen using some language I'd never heard of before. This is odd. This is very odd. Mixed with the ritualistic annual procession last night, and something is afoot here. I wish Dr. Neruda was able to hear this. I wonder if he could have pieced something together.
Unfortunately, he's asleep in a different building.
Well, in normal circumstances, I might not believe you, Theodore, but I can't not believe you. Wow, now I have suddenly woken up after this. Oh my God, now I've got to think about it. Yes, it is a little odd, isn't it, everything? Maybe,
I don't know what to do about it other than just sort of play along like nothing's wrong, but I don't know what to make of it. It's very unnerving. And I swear I was fully awake, and she was speaking with other people. The other people had different voices in the kitchen.
Okay. Okay. What I'm going to do is I have just finished my water, so I am going to go get some more water. Don't worry. I'm just going to go see if it's continued, Theodore, and see if I can understand this, whatever. So I go down, get some more water. Is she still down there?
Okay, so do a luck roll.
How could she? How if I had my dice? Well,
What's your luck is like 29.
yeah, it is. And it's that bad. I couldn't find my dice. They were right in front of me. Real life luck. Actually think that's still a fail, even though I got a 20. Dead on my luck. 29 out of 29. Who would have?
Okay, so how are you going to go? Are you going to be very quiet, sneaky? Are you going to just walk down there like you're going to get a drink of water?
Probably. Well, I'm gonna still be cautious because of what Theodore said and everything that's gone on with us anyway. So I'll probably go down cautiously.
Okay.
And then obviously if there's sudden movement coming from the kitchen, I might go a bit quicker to make it look like I am, even though I am going to get water, to make it look like I'm going for water.
Okay. So you get to the bottom of the stairs, and you are maybe 10 feet from the kitchen door when the light inside the room sort of wobbles, like candle flame. And just as you step forward, it gets dimmer, and the door in front of you opens as Anna has a hurricane lantern, kerosene lantern, and she's coming out, and she's not really looking at you, but when she suddenly looks up and sees your face, she's like, "Oh,
sorry, madame. I did not mean to scare you. I was coming down for some water. I ran out."
She uses kind of broken Polish because she doesn't speak English, but she says you need something.
What water?
Yeah, and she opens the door, goes back into the kitchen, and sets down the lantern and turns it up. And she says, your friend was here a few minutes ago. I gave him some tea. Are you sleeping okay?"
Yes, I'm sleeping fine. I just I don't know. I woke myself up and my mouth was dry. I didn't have any more water, so I just needed to get
So
some more water.
she pours you some water. I assume they have maybe I don't know, a well or something that it's being drawn from, and she fills that up, and she says he seemed a bit confused. I don't think he is I think, it is a strange house for him.
Yes, Theodore's been through a lot in his life. He can be like that sometimes. Uh, don't don't worry about it. He does sometimes just wander around in the middle of the night and he gets a bit lost in himself. It's okay.
And she smiles and she gives you the water. And
Are you okay? You are up at a very late time.
oh, I usually get up early, but tonight a bit of a
Headache? Oh, yes, yes, yes.
yes, headache.
Mhm. Well,
And she
make
just
sure
stands there
you
and waits for you.
make sure I point. Make sure you drink plenty of water. Yes, and then try to sleep. It might be difficult, but to try and sleep.
So she'll wait there for you to
I will probably linger for a certain for like a couple of minutes, take a couple of sips
yeah,
of water, then can I do a psychology roll on her just to see if
sure.
she's
It's hard to do in
wanting?
another language or another country, but yeah, you're close.
Okay. Nope, and even with my psychology, an 82 will not succeed.
She I mean, you're getting a mixture from her, like she's tired and she's ready to go to bed, and but she doesn't want to be at all inhospitable. So
Okay. Well, good night, Miss. Try and get sleep. Drink water, and I wander back upstairs.
okay, as soon as you turn your back on her, she grabs the lantern and follows right behind you as you come out. No, she follows right behind you. She closes the kitchen door, and she's literally right behind you as you're going up the stairs. And when you get to the top of the stairs and turn towards your room, she walks a little ways towards her room, and she turns to you and she says, good night.
Good night. And I
And
go
then
and look.
goes into her own room.
Well, Theodore, are you still? Is Theodore still? I assume Theodore's still awake. I doubt he would have been able to sleep after.
Yeah.
um, Theodore, she was still awake. Obviously, this is very hushed now because we never know. Yes, she was still awake. She has gone to bed now. Um, I
I
didn't
figured.
notice anything, but she mentioned headaches,
Yeah,
and
I
she's
figured
up.
she wouldn't go on with what she was doing. She knows she was caught, and I think she's just trying to play it off. But unfortunately, I didn't understand what that language was, what she was
Uh,
talking of. And but it was with other voices too, though. That's what was so concerning. When I looked in, she was still having the conversation with them. Um, Tom, question.
Yes.
Um, when I opened the door and took a look in,
Mm-hmm.
and there was the three voices. Um, um, you like just the stereo input from my ears was
Mm-hmm.
all of the voices coming just from her, or were those other voices briefly kind of like a little, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're in a room, you close your eyes and there's three
Sure.
people and they're talking, you can kind of tell that they're not the sound's just not coming from one point.
Right. You would hear if it was a radio or something on the other
Yeah,
end of the room or
and a
something.
basic direction, even in as close as being in a room.
I think that's a pretty natural perception, so I'm not going to have you roll anything for it. But indeed, it seemed like they were all coming out of her mouth,
Oh,
almost like
huh.
almost like she was doing some sort of, you know, if you walked in on somebody while they were reciting Shakespeare and doing three different parts, you know,
Okay.
practicing for. I mean, surely she was just
Oh yeah, just
talking to
practicing.
herself the way we all do,
Yeah, in
doing
different
different
voice,
voices and
in a different
it's
language.
different emotions from each one of them, arguing with herself, or it's very strange.
Well,
very
arguing with
strange.
yourself, maybe two positions in an
You
argument,
couldn't
but
you couldn't
there were
really.
three. That's a bit different. Okay, all right. Okay. Bizarre. Okay. Can't
Okay,
prove
so
it.
you guys try to go back to sleep.
Yeah, I suppose. It's not really work.
Uh, yes, attempt to. I probably don't go back to sleep. I'm just keeping an eye on the door, I guess. Theodore's got me worried.
let's pause for just a moment until Dr. Curtis comes back.
And like that, he reappears.
Ether. Okay. Let's see. All right. So let's skip. Did you guys decide to go back to sleep and try to sleep?
Yeah, I'll try to get some sleep. As bizarre as it is, there's nothing I can really pursue, and it didn't seem threatening. So
I'd probably end up falling asleep even after keeping an eye on the door, looking at Theodore. If I notice Theodore's gone to sleep, I'd probably eventually. Yeah.
I think that what you do is you try to remind yourself there's been some really weird stuff, and this place didn't really seem that weird. It just seems everything seems strange to you now because of the weird stuff going on. Maybe it was just, maybe it's like singing to yourself. Maybe she was just working something out in her head, and you were freaked out, and it was nothing. It was nothing.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll move on. At the Nedick house, it's been before you went to bed. There is a kind of warm, homey, comfortable warmth about the Nedick household, and that's mainly because you've got Todor smiling all the time, his wife making sure that you're comfortable, his grandfather, his grandmother sitting there smiling, and everybody, the children who can speak a little bit of English are asking you questions, and you find yourself sitting with children on your lap, and it's very much, you're just sort of, they make you feel like you're part of the family, and you're total strangers, but that's kind of what they do. And then this kind of maybe backfires a little. Some of the kids get into arguments about who gets to sleep in the same room as you guys, and the parents are like, no, that's not going to happen. And then you realize that the walls of the house are pretty damn thin, because there are at least 4 people in this house that snore like buzzsaws. And you can all do, we'll say, con rolls to see how well you sleep in this buzzsaw infested house. I mean, it's kind of sweet, but it's kind of it ain't a hotel room.
Or Constitution?
Constitution, I guess, to see if you can sleep.
Regular.
73 is a failure.
Yeah, I failed by 3, and I'm not going to spend 3 luck just to get a good night's sleep after all.
Yeah. So that's basically what happens, is you drift in and out of sleep because you keep getting woken up by Todor in the next room. And and the next morning, in the Nedick household, children get up before the parents. There's noise in the house. Sounds like a couple kids have an argument. And you wake up to it. It sounds like you're on a sailing ship where all the cargo is loose and it's crashing around, and there's people talking, and eventually you sort of pull yourselves together and get up, and a huge meal is served for breakfast. The house is filled with warmth and good, nice smells of bacon and just delicious food. And still the kids want to ask you questions, and they want to practice their English, and this is, it's overwhelming, but it's also pleasant. And one of the little girls, Marta, I think that was what her name was, she comes up to Dr. Neruda, and she put something in your hand. And when you look down, you saw it yesterday when you were looking around the house. It's this little bone whistle. It's, ivory colored, and it's exquisitely carved. And there are little flowers all over it and vines. And it's oddly shaped, but you were told that it was found, somebody dug it up in the garden, and here it is. And one of the older girls looks over and she says, she must really like you, because she really likes that toy, and she wants you to have it.
Oh, well, I am honored.
We don't really know much about it, but that you find things like that every once in a while. It's probably, it might actually be quite old, maybe even Roman. But
Can I roll anthropology?
Sure.
Not 96 against my 50 is no good.
You could roll occult too.
Occult 59, that's a pass.
Yeah, probably in mythology, there are a number of mentions of these pipes that ward off evil spirits. Evil spirits don't like the sound of whistles or pipes.
Does it sound still if I blow into it?
When you blow on it, a couple of things happen. One is it's got a kind of a vibration to it. So you figure if you blew it really hard, it would probably shatter. But it has a high-pitched whistling sort of sound, kind of shrill, not like fingernails on a chalkboard, but like a recorder sounds when you take the end off of it and just blow. It's just a high screechy sort of noise. Kind of like some cultures think that firecrackers ward off evil spirits because they're loud and they're uncomfortable noises. In this case, it's another uncomfortable noise. But it's just a toy. She says it's just a toy. Keep it as a souvenir of our house.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So, thank you very much.
And you guys are packed with supplies for the day. It's going to take you a while to walk out to Grandma's. And outside, you, of course, meet Gunter and, you meet Dorian and Theodore. Dorian and Theodore, your morning was very nice. Also, you had a very nice breakfast without all of the peace and noise that the netics would give you. The house smells just a little bit of incense, which the priest burned during their morning prayers in front of the icon. And you were also given a basket with some stuff for food. And do any of you need anything else, or do you want anything else?
In what fashion are we given directions to this older scholar's cabin? She's in the middle of the area. There's not a big trail there or anything. So
no, there is a trail. They tell you that, the priest and the mayor will walk you to the edge of the village, to the road. And they tell you that the road will go through a number of fields, and then it'll be kind of a luxuriant, fields that nobody owns. And then you'll get to a bit of forest and just keep following the trail, and her house is in a clearing. You really can't miss it unless you go way off the trail.
Is there a rock or something where her path moves away from the trail, or a notable tree? Or
no, the trail just goes to her house.
Oh, yeah. And is there something you should bring for this Baba Zora? As some sort of propitiatory? Does she, maybe perhaps she likes when people from the village bring her a bottle of wine, or
it would be a nice thing, yes.
Yeah.
She almost never comes into town anymore because she's getting so old.
Yeah.
But yeah, take her something nice like that.
Yeah, I don't. Do you know of something she likes? Probably she has not so many sweets, so we could bring her some candies, or if she drinks wine, but maybe she is ascetic and does not. Or what would she get if she had more constant visitations?
He says, well, here. And one of them gets a bottle of wine and says, she'll like this. Maybe it's, I don't know what they drink in this area that's really strong, like rakia. I'm not sure if this is the area for that, but we'll see. Yeah. Or what's the other one? Aquavit.
Mm-hmm.
Or is that Scandinavia?
I think that's Scandinavia.
He gives you whatever is kind of local, the local alcohol to take with you.
Of course, I'll try to give him money for this, and he'll refuse because this is that village.
Right. And you are... Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I wonder also if there's something... would it be useful to take something along like a hunting knife or something if the path is overgrown or anything of that nature? We don't know the local necessities, of course.
I mean, if you would feel more comfortable with something like that, I could lend you a knife.
Yeah, Half-Thirsty is very dexterous with one. Did you bring something also, Theodore?
I've got my hunting knife and another thing that's undisclosed tucked under my jacket.
Maybe he says, I know exactly what you want. Todor runs in and comes back out with a very nice hunting knife.
This is beautiful. Yeah.
It is yours.
Bring it back when we return. Your generosity has already been so remarkable.
We look forward to you returning. And when you come back, please, once again, stay with us.
Oh, of course. I slept wonderful. It was amazing.
All right. So you begin, well, they walked you more or less to the end of the village, and you come to the place where you're kind of at the end of where there are any fenced fields and stuff like that. And you can see there's a very clear rutted sort of path in the road where the grass doesn't really grow. But it hasn't been used in a while. And there's a few other of the people in the town that kind of come out to wish you goodbye. You walk for a while, and indeed you pass a number of fields, and then the grass grows higher. You can see that it's been unplowed, and the presence of snow seems to not be much around here. Maybe it's the fact that there's a slight slant to the land and it's pointing towards the sun. So there's not really any place for snow to have gathered and hidden. And you come eventually to a beautiful glade of trees. You start going into them, and the overgrowth and luxuriance kind of tells you, without needing to make a roll, that nobody's cut down these trees before. These trees have been growing here for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. They're all gnarled and beautiful, and everything is green and lush as you pass through the woods. Eventually, and it takes maybe an hour or so, you can see that there is a clearing up ahead of you. And in the clearing, there sits a kind of wooden hut, primitive. It's not small, it's fairly large. You can see that there is a bramble fence that sort of goes all the way around it. You can see that there are some small gardens planted around it. You can see smoke coming out of the chimney. And as you, sort of cross through the bramble, it's not a gate, there's just an opening. As you go through that, you can all do listen rolls.
All right.
27.
Ooh, hard for me.
What you hear on the wind at first is a little a voice of a woman humming. It's a pretty little, sort of folk tuney sounding humming noise. And occasionally it turns into singing. You can hear her singing, but it doesn't sound like an old woman's voice.
Right.
Does it sound like the language that I caught Anna in a conversation with the previous night in the kitchen?
It's hard to say because it does sound, it's sing-songy, could be Serbo-Croatian or something. And as you approach, you can also smell what smells like bread baking.
Oh,
as you're coming
delicious.
forward. So what do you want to do?
I just go up to the door and knock.
Okay. You knock on the door, and a young woman's voice from inside says, "Please come right in."
I could get used to this rural hospitality. Nothing like this in Berlin. And I open up the door.
So when you open up the door, the person inside is a rather young, beautiful woman. She doesn't immediately turn to you because she seems to be busy doing something. She says, "Please, please, traveler, come right in. I'll be with you in a moment. I'm just putting the bread in the oven."
Is she speaking English or?
Well, actually, I guess we would have to deal with that.
Sorry.
She's speaking in Serbo-Croatian.
Okay.
Somehow we got to get through the translation. She tries German. She tries
I
a
speak
couple
German,
of languages.
So, yeah. As soon as she says
And
something in German, I respond.
she turns and looks at you, and she says, "Oh, are you from the village? Are you here for these?" And there is bits of statuary everywhere. There are shelves going up to the ceiling. The inside of the hut is kind of pointed up into the rafters, and you can see that there's not enough room in here for all of these things that have been collected. And she says, um, "Grandmother will be here later."
Oh,
I'm
we were nice to meet you. I am Gunter Block. It is a pleasure to meet someone so beautiful out here.
I'm Sherka.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay.
Well, it starts with a K. Sherka. She says, "I'm Sherka. I help Grandma with taking care of things.
Oh,
She's very old.
oh, yes,
Please
yes,
have a seat. I'll make
yeah,
some tea."
yeah. Oh,
And as you
these
look
are,
around, like I say, you see
yeah,
tons of
yeah.
these things everywhere.
And these are my associates and all, though. Dr. Kurz and Dr. Neruda, Dr. Dabrowski, and Mr. Thursby.
I am very glad to meet you. A grandmother will like to see. She loves trading in this sort of stuff, if that's what you're here for. And she immediately goes back to humming her little tune and doing her chores and making the tea.
So she has mostly German. That is her best.
We'll say that works.
Language. Yeah. So yeah, we have brought for you called her the correct term here is Baba. Yes, we have brought for Baba Zora is this rakia, the gift from the mayor in town.
Oh, that's very nice.
Very hospitable countryside you have. Do you live in a village on the other side and you come to assist Madame Zora, or?
No, I live here with her.
Oh, yeah. Oh, excellent. And all of these pieces, these are things you assist her to dig up locally, these artifacts?
Well, yes, some of them. And she wanders and looks for these things. She's done that now for many years. And I don't know enough about them, but she knows everything about them.
We are told she is, yes, a very significant scholar of antiquities. Canerud over there, he's come all the way from South America, and he also studies all the cultures of the world. Do you mind if we have a look through the pieces before the tea is ready?
Please.
You're very kind.
And she goes back to, yeah. Okay. Oh, go ahead if you had a question.
Does Papa Zora, is she out now looking for pieces, or does she just have a walk in the morning, or?
It's always a walk, and sometimes she finds things. She told me this land is rich because there used to be a trade route, and there's just stuff everywhere.
As they are about to look at the pieces inside, I would just like to go about 10 meters outside of the cottage and use my expertise at tracking and checking around the grounds in a circle around the property about 10 meters out.
Okay. So you step back outside.
And I let Dorian know what I'm going to go do.
It's rather, let's see, maybe it's got a kind of a regular symmetry to it, but there is a large circular break in the trees all the way around. So at some point, it does sort of seem like maybe these trees were cut down to make room for the hut.
Clear. Yeah.
The clearing. The house sits kind of dead center in the clearing, and then she's got a bramble fence that goes all the way around with what looked like maybe gooseberries or something growing all over them. But there's no gate on the front. I don't think she needs a gate. And then there's a little garden over to the side where there are vegetables and things that are growing. And other than that, she doesn't have any livestock. There are things that you'd expect, farming instruments, little farming instruments, a hoe and a rake and a shovel and a primitive wheelbarrow.
Okay. But so nothing out of the ordinary, or no weird tracks or things?
No, nothing like that.
Okay.
And of course, they've kept the inside the fence, everything is kept pretty nice. And outside the fence, it's just kind of wild, And as you look around there, it's kind of a nice early spring day. Well, it's not quite spring yet, but it feels like an early spring day. It's actually kind of warm. Maybe too warm for you.
Oh my God.
You can see little butterflies and stuff like that floating around in the air. Theodore, why don't you do a spot hidden for me?
There we go, a 97. Nice to get that out of the way. Sorry, guys.
Okay, so you're sitting there, or you're standing there, walking about, looking out into the woods, And a voice suddenly comes from behind you that kind of startles you. Yeah, I hope you don't pull your gun. You pull your gun on an old lady who is just coming out of the woods. And she says, excuse me, who are you?
Oh, I'm so terribly sorry. I don't speak a word of your language. So sorry.
What do you say that in?
I'll go over to French or Italian.
Okay, no, if you go to French, she immediately responds in French. And what she has to do is walk around to the opening in the fence. And she says, where have you come from? Why are you here?
Oh, I am terribly sorry for startling you. I'm a city boy. I'm here with people who would love to speak with you about some of your findings. If you would not mind, with wonderful people. And again, I apologize for being startled. I'm from the city. I need to get used to the beautiful country you have out here.
Oh, well, there are some fine pieces that I found today. And as she comes around, I mean, you can see she's kind of hunched over. She's got a walking stick. She's old looking. She looks like she's in her 80s, and looks like she's been in the sun a lot. So she's kind of, she's white, but she's kind of dark. And she says, "Here, help me with these."
Sure,
and
sure.
She lifts the sack off of her shoulder and she hands it to you. It's surprisingly kind of heavy. I was just going to say that if you look in the sack, one of the pieces is a head.
Oh my, that's amazing.
And they're marble. They're a little dirty, but she says, "Yes, I found them on my walk. There is a great deal of stuff out there in the woods from there was an unexplored trade route through the Roman province of Moesia Superior, which they left traces of themselves all over the place. And now she's walking with you. She's taken your hand as you kind of go up to the front of the door, and you open the door, and she steps through inside. Yes, how wonderful. And she says, I'm
Grandma?
Yeah, well, she tells you her name, Zora something or other. Hold on.
Oh, Zora Giovanovich?
Yeah, Giovanovich. But you can call me Baba. Everyone just calls me Baba.
Baba.
Good Caesarea, you've made tea. Excellent. Please, come in, sit. Thank you, she says to Theodore. Gunter, do you now she's speaking French.
Mm-hmm. I just stare. I recognize it's French, but I don't speak French.
If any of you speak English, she also speaks English.
Oh, I speak English.
So since you all speak English, she probably picks that up very quickly. She says, well, and she has that kind of an educated voice. Like she obviously knows multiple languages. Please sit down. And the girl brings her some tea. She sits down with you. Now, what are you looking for? You can see I have quite a few things. Something for a museum. Are you with a museum? Are you with a university?
We are a group of researchers with Miskatonic University.
That's in the United States.
It is in the United
Arkham.
States.
Yes, I've never been there, but I've heard of it.
Well, we have been.
You must have some very strange stories.
Into it. Yes, it does. It's a strange town. We've been kind of traveling Europe, looking into. I'm a I research religion and folk traditions is my specialty, and I've been kind of conducting this research into obscure Eastern religious practices.
Yes.
Practices, and
I
also
myself.
We were inspired by a Challenger lecture we attended in London, and we have been traveling along the Orient Express. There are some peculiar pieces from Turkey that are of particular note. If this was a trade route, I suppose things went both directions, yes?
Oh, certainly. It's definitely possible. There's quite a few things. I actually started because my father was a teacher of history in Sofia, and he was very interested in archaeology. He used to wander around. I used to follow him even as a little girl. I started my own little collection of things that I'd gathered over the years. And when I had the time, when I finally was able to go to college, I went to the Sorbonne in Paris, and I used to haunt all sorts of places and pick up things here and there. And eventually I moved back here because this was on a trade route where very little exploration's been done. And you can see, unfortunately, I'm not really a trained archaeologist. So I've tried to keep track of where pieces came from, but I'm not quite as precise as the average archaeologist.
I'm sure you will make it. I myself am an archaeologist. I will pipe in.
Well, any of the pieces that you see, they're all for sale. I will sell them to you. This used to be my career. Now it's my hobby, and it brings in a little money. And occasionally we can get supplies and things like that. Oh, Rakia.
Yeah. Compliments of the mayor, who holds you in the highest regard.
Yes.
Now, there's a particular style of statuary that we've identified in our research that is associated with the religious groups of our interest. The craftsmanship is quite exquisite, and it's almost porcelain-like. Do you recall
kind of a high polish to it?
Anything? Yes. Yeah. Do you recall anything that you found that? And it's in pieces. It wouldn't be a whole statue.
What sort of piece are you looking for?
We expect to find an arm mostly intact from shoulder to hand, or
I have lots of arms.
The detail on these pieces not only is the polish of a subtle and I think forgotten technique that gives it this porcelain-like surface, but there are subtle markings within the finish that give the pieces a changeable appearance. If you turn them in the light, say, things seem a little to move in each piece.
Would you say almost opalescent?
Yeah.
Almost, yeah. Either a head or an arm.
You know, it sounds familiar, like something I may have seen once. I may in fact have it. And she walks over to a cabinet, which she opens up, and it's filled with pieces. And there are a lot of arms. And she pulls a couple of them out and she says, no, not like this. Correct?
No.
Yeah, correct.
She says, she points to another cabinet towards the bottom of it, and she says, maybe in there.
I'll step on over.
So you open it up, and very much similar. There's all sorts of pieces in there. They're all, some of them have been cleaned so that they're just porcelain white, and some of them are still a little dirty. Anything in there, you don't see anything like the simulacrum.
Nothing in particular. Nice pieces, but not quite what I had in mind.
I'd like you all to do luck rolls.
35. That is a hard.
23 pass.
30 fail.
I failed.
Okay. So she puts her arms akimbo and she's looking around and she's moving things here and there. And she says, perhaps I have so much. Please, feel free to look. Just, don't break anything.
Of course so.
But there's stuff in all kinds of cubbies. Meanwhile, it looks like the girl, Xerxa. I actually wrote the phonetic. Xerxa. It looks like she's starting to prepare a meal. She's stoking the fire, and she's getting like a roasting pan and everything ready, and she's chopping vegetables.
Yeah. Do you need some help with that pan? It looks heavy. I could assist.
She says, "Oh, I can handle it.
Oh, I'm sure you could, but
I do this every day." Finally, Grandma sort of looks up and she goes, there on the top shelf. Could that be what you're looking for? And you can see, I'll have you all do spot hiddens.
Okay.
Okay. Ooh.
I am rolling horribly today to know.
I'm rolling hot, regular.
Hard.
Got a hard.
I also got a hard.
Yeah. So the two of you that get a hard, you get at the right angle, and you can see that there are a number of pieces up there, and they're almost at that point. It's on the top of the shelves, almost piled into the rafters of the building, kind of in the shadows, which what you see looks like, you're not sure whether it's a shadow or not, but there's definitely a hand sticking out. It's attached to an arm, and it's kind of purple instead of white.
Is there like a sturdy stool to take a step up to it?
You could step onto a stool. You'd have to actually step up onto the cabinet and then try to climb up, maybe on your tiptoes to get all the way up.
I'll ask permission, of course. Here's a piece that looks very interesting.
Oh, yes. We'll just move that stuff out of the way.
So very carefully, very respectfully move things.
And also hold a ladder if it will help Thursby. Baba, it was
Well, we don't have a ladder. She's got to just climb up.
Or maybe
right.
That chair and here, and there we go.
So, as you reach up towards the thing, and now that you're getting a good look at it and you're closer up, you're almost dead sure that that's the right arm of the Sedefkar simulacrum. It definitely looks like it, the color pattern and everything. And as you reach for it, a couple of things happen simultaneously. Xerxa opens up the oven, and she says, "Careful not to fall," because you would literally fall right into the, the oven. She says, "Careful not to fall." Grandma starts to hum a tune, but it's a different little tune than the one that Xerxa was humming. And as your hand reaches for it and grabs a hold of the simulacrum, all of a sudden, all of these other arms that are around you, made out of marble. One of them reaches up and grabs a hold of your hand. And I would like you to do a power roll.
Oh, geez. All right, there we go. Oh, hey, that looks good. 49. I'm almost certain that's a pass. Power. Yeah, that is a pass.
Okay. You pass your power roll. At that moment, everything around you shimmers just a little bit. And as you look, these arms, they're kind of like attached to the house itself. And the fingers are more like tentacles. You look up at the thatched roof above you, and it's not a thatched roof. It's kind of made out of millions of wormy fibers that are wiggling in front of you. The rest of you, everything around you sort of shakes with a vibration, and as you're looking, the room begins to transform, and you see Grandma reach over and grab a large, like a bread paddle, and as she turns, she very quickly and with great strength slips it under Theodore's feet and begins to tip it. The stove, the oven, has opened up like a gigantic mouth with multiple teeth and flames inside of it. And it looks like she's going to throw Theodore into the mouth. What do y'all want to do?
Dodge.
I'm pushing. I'm literally just going to run and push into her. Like tackle and all that. I don't care at this point. Theodore's in trouble.
Okay. Do a, what do you say, a strength roll? Well, we'll get back to you in a second. We'll do this all at once. Gunter, what are you going to do?
What is the younger lady doing?
She is reaching for a rather large-looking butcher knife.
I'm
getting
going
ready to attack.
With my cane, I'm going to try and deflect the butcher knife. And I'm a large man, so essentially trying to bull rush her to, just my immense size would kind of control her, unless she's really strong.
That response, should we be rolling for sanity?
Oh yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Dr. Kurz, what are you going to do?
I think the bread paddle. I'm going to try to. I was assisting Kurtz getting up on the things, so I'm going to try to grab him physically to pull him away from this.
Okay. And Dr. Neruda.
Well, it's not every day where, when you're in the countryside of Eastern Europe, you walk into what seems like a witch's house. Not knowing exactly what to do, I think of that whistle that little girl handed me, and think of the kind of the folk tradition about warding away evil that might be associated with it, and I'm going to blow that little flute. Perhaps it will just do nothing but hurt our ears, but...
And how are you going to blow it?
Don't want to shatter it.
Okay.
Just...
All right. So at that moment, Theodore, you're trying to keep your balance, and Dr. Roland is trying to hold you up. Grandma has started to cackle, and the girl is coming at Gunter with the butcher knife. Dorian is going to try and tackle Grandma. Go ahead and try. Do a strength roll.
Well, that's the 13, and that's just a hard success. I could spend. No, I'm not spending any luck anymore. I've got no luck anyway. So
okay. You rush forward to hit her as she is attempting to throw Theodore into the oven, the mouth. and you hit her like you're hitting a ton of bricks. She is not a frail little woman. She almost feels like she's made out of metal as you hit her. Gunter, you try and talk. You try and get the girl. She's going to try to stab you.
Okay. Oh. Try and 33 for my fighting brawl is just a regular.
You got better than I did. So she
sweet.
attempts. She brings the knife down in front of you, and you're going to try to knock her down.
Yeah, just barrel roller.
She has a tremendous amount of strength as well, which surprises you. But she's lighter and easier to move than Grandma apparently is.
Okay.
Dr. Roland, we'll call it a brawl roll, but you're really trying to steady Theodore and pull him down in another direction.
Yeah, that would have been a little bit of a surprise if I had made that. I'm not much of a brawler.
Okay, so Theodore, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was. My reaction was to do a dex or dodge, whatever, to try to evade, or at least fall in a direction away from the, take a tumble away from the.
How about you do a jump roll and we'll see if you manage to jump down without.
Okay.
I never get to do jump rolls.
Go. Okay. Oh, phooey. It's not a dodge. Okay. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, that's a tremendous failure. Not a horrible failure, but yeah, that's just too much for lucked up.
Okay.
67.
Well, I think still with you can all do sanity rolls.
Pass.
And I'd say the rest of you can also do POW rolls.
Pass. It's good. And a POW.
28 is a pass for sanity.
Sanity, I failed.
31 is a hard success for POW.
Passed sanity and
40.
Failed POW.
I passed sanity and got a regular on POW.
Okay.
I know. I got a 99 on POW.
Ow.
So if you pass your sanity, do a 1d4.
Which I did.
If you fail it, do a 1d6.
Oh, 4. Ouch.
I only got one on my sanity.
I also just lost 4.
Ah!
Okay.
Oh no, and everyone's losing.
All right. If you passed your POW, then you have a clear perception of what the hell's going on and where things are. If you failed your POW, you're very confused. And it doesn't seem like there's easy places to step or maneuver because everything in the room seems to be a part of whatever this thing is, except for the two ladies. They seem to be separate, but everything is transformed. The stovepipe, the stove, which is now a mouth. The rafters have turned into huge branch-like appendages, and there are tentacles everywhere. Let's see. Did I forget anyone?
So I
Dr.
assume that
Neruda.
blowing the flute doesn't. Yeah.
No. Dr. Neruda, you bring the flute up to your mouth and you blow, and all hell breaks loose when you blow. All semblance of anything in the house that didn't look like a monster now looks like part of a monster. In fact, it kind of feels like you were in the belly of the beast. But whatever you've done, Grandma and the girl throw their hands up over their ears, and the building shakes violently. It feels like the fucking building is going to lift up out of the ground when you do that. You get the impression also that if you blow it harder, you'll actually cause injury in doing it. Not to you, it's just a loud whistle. But to this thing, it's it's painful. You can see the whole building shakes and groans and roars sort of when you do it.
As I took 6 sanity, then should I roll intelligence?
Sure. Oh yeah, 6 sanity. Yeah, roll your intelligence.
I'm quite intelligent and I have a hard success, so I see it clearly.
Yeah. All right. So what happens to you is a kind of psychosomatic reaction to it. You want to grab onto things to steady yourself, and your hands just don't seem to grip. You've lost the ability to grip things. Your hands aren't working properly. They're flailing around.
Everything's moving. I probably fall on my ass quickly. Yeah.
All right, Theodore, you've fallen. You tried to jump and you fell. You didn't fall into the oven, but you're on your hands and knees, and Grandma Baba has reached for maybe a meat cleaver or something to try and hit you with it. Do you want to do?
Okay, so I'll just roll over, and since I passed my sanity, I'll just pull my 44 and just really don't want to do this to Grandma, but I'm gonna plug her in the chest there. Wow. Sorry, Grandma.
Okay, you're almost at point blank range. Go ahead and roll for it. I rolled a 3.
Oh, she can dodge bullets? Oh, Jesus.
No, but she's, something might fall in between you or...
All right. Let's see.
So you need an extreme.
Ooh, that's low. It's 31, and so that's a hard... Nope, it's still not. Nope. No, I can't. I can't do an extreme. That's too many luck I'd have to spend.
You fire, your bullet misses her, and it goes into the wall. But the building doesn't or the thing you're in doesn't seem to react. Let's see, Dorian, what are you going to do?
I God. Well, I don't know, because I ran into the woman and she felt like, I'm gonna, I don't know. He's he knows, he's just seen the gunshot. I gotta find something to hit her with. Anything around and just
kitchen stuff. There's frying pan. If you want to hit her with a frying pan.
Yes. Oh, let's go. Let's see. Well, I got a 0, a 0, and a 0.
She got a 90. So what I'm going to say is that you swing that frying pan and you hit her with it, and it just clangs as you hit her with it. But you don't know whether she somehow has braced herself or whether she's supernatural or what the fuck is going on.
What's going on?
Gunter.
I'm going to take my forearm and put it on the girl's throat and just put all my weight on it, essentially trying to crush her windpipe with my 210 pounds.
Do a grapple, or what is it, brawl?
Brawl, yep. 0-3, that is an extreme.
Hey. Roll your strength for me as well.
Gotta make it size?
Yeah, roll your size.
Sure. All right. I would have passed either way with the same result regular.
As you put all of your weight down onto her neck, you feel it snap. And she screams as it happens, and she's trying to grasp at you. You can see that her fingernails seem to have suddenly gotten much longer, but she can't get a hold of you and she can't breathe. And she struggles for a moment. And she kind of reaches out her hand like this. And Grandma sees it, but Grandma doesn't. She's busy trying to fight the rest of you. Dr. Neruda, I think that you should do a dex roll because everything around you is going crazy.
06.
You stand firm.
Yeah, and
okay.
As hard as I.
When you do that, the house rocks violently. You all get that feeling as if you were in an elevator that suddenly shoots up into the air. You can feel yourself pushed down to the ground. It begins shaking violently. There's this horrible roaring noise, and tentacles are everywhere. And the front door opens, and the whole structure flips to the side, and you are all thrown out the door. You can all do Constitution rolls to see how hard you hit the ground outside, because you are currently about 15 feet above the ground.
Yeah.
65 is a failure. I could spend 5 points of luck to pass.
So,
you'll do 1 to 4 points of hit points of damage.
I rolled an 89.
96.
Which is a fail.
Failed also.
If you fail, do 1 to 8 points of damage.
1 to 8 if you fail? Ouch.
Yeah.
Come
really
on,
good.
2.
3.
3.
5.
Ouch.
So you guys are violently thrown out of this structure. And right behind you is thrown Grandma and the girl. And Theodore, do a luck roll.
Alrighty. Let's see here. Ooh, that's a pass. 41.
You still have a hold of the simulacrum's arm as you fly out the door.
Darn it. There's my arm.
Grandma. Now, wait. Let me describe what you're seeing. You're thrown out of the thing onto the ground. The plants and things that were growing inside the ring of brambles, they seem to have all died, and the ring of brambles itself seems to be growing and twisting, and it seems now that it's somehow attached to the house, which is no longer a house. It is a huge, writhing tree trunk kind of creature with branches and tendrils and whipping arms. And the whole thing seems to be supported off the ground on what amount to gigantic spider legs. But the spider legs are like made out of wood. And there's not 8 of them, there's less. And each of those seems to end in what very much looks like a chicken foot. And the thing is stomping and it's howling. And you're looking at this. And as Grandma and Serchka, they fall out of the house too, you can see that they are a bit injured. And Grandma quickly stands up, raises her hands like this, and she's screaming something in what sounds like a foreign language. But as she's doing that, the creature is stomping around. It twists and turns and brings down one of those horrible spider chicken feet right on top of Grandma. And you can see her crushed into the ground, barely alive, if anything. At this point, What do you want to do? I mean, you were absolutely terrified at all of this.
I would like to commence screaming.
I will run in the opposite direction that I think the house is walking.
I think Gunter has the right idea.
I think if I'm sufficiently recovered to pull out some MC Heath, I will try to make sure that the brambles are cut away so that we can escape. I assume that the opening that was a gate is less open than it was.
It's more like all of the brambles were pulled into the ground and has become part of this gigantic thing. So they're not really blocking your way.
Oh, good. I brandish it as I.
Dr. Neruda, the thing did break when you blew that hard into it.
Yeah, I figured.
So Gunter is running. What are the rest of you going to do? You've got the Mem Sahis. You're all going to run?
Yeah, as long as I firmly have the arm in hand, I'm booking as well. Running.
Okay. Yes, run, because I have 4 HP. So run.
Oh, geez.
You took a major wound.
do I
did,
see
and
Dorian?
I passed my comm roll, so.
Do I see Dorian heavily injured laying nearby?
Well, I passed my comm roll to get through the major wounds, so I am still.
Okay, well, let's do this. Let's have you all do a luck roll.
If I see Dorian hurt, I will go try to help him.
Oh,
for
5.
God's sake.
Ass.
Well, it wouldn't have mattered, but I am unlucky. I rolled 100 again.
What are we rolling?
Luck.
A luck.
Okay.
Yeah.
89 is a fail.
3 out of 7.
0, 0, 0. Again.
Okay, who failed? Okay.
Horribly.
Theodore, Roland, and Gunter, you are running in what you think is the right direction. Dorian and Theodore are running in, Dorian and Gabriel are running perpendicular. They're going in another direction, heading towards the woods. I'd like you all to do a spot hidden when you look back.
Just a normal
is a
success.
success.
Regular.
69's a fail.
Yeah,
if you pass, what you see when you look back is this horrendous, monstrous thing, and you see Serka run over to where grandmother has been crushed and kneel down, as if to see if she's still alive. You see grandma reach up and grab a hold of her hand, and what happens is it's almost as if the vitality of the young girl gets sucked out of her body and into grandmother, and Serka turns into a kind of desiccated corpse, falls to the ground, and grandma gets back up again. By this time, you've reached the edge of the forest and you're running into the woods. You are separated. And those of you who are still kind of on the road, this is an obvious path. Could theoretically easily be followed. And that thing can probably follow you pretty quickly, like a spider down that road. Do you want to stay on the road?
I wonder if the thing it reared up in terror from the bone flute. It seems to it, and I thought it perhaps stopped the Baba accidentally in its fear, but it seems
That's what
to
you would
be
guess.
Hunting. I would think it would be safer in the forest where it has a harder time stepping and seeing if it has some sort of sight. but it's also sort of a tree itself.
Where's Dory?
Yeah, we have to stay together. I don't also know if it's safe to go back to the village. They were very fond of this woman in that village. They might be part of some co-religious. Let's
Doctor.
Neruda! Tabarsky! Beats over here!
The sound of the roaring is too much for this thing, so.
Mm-hmm.
I shall move toward my comrades who went the wrong way, in my opinion, and I am ready to defend myself with the Memsihis.
So you leave the road.
I'm afraid of grandmas, and I am afraid of the giant mosquito house.
Yeah. I'm gonna leave the road and kind of get into the woods and try and duck down.
So you're both in the woods in different places. I would like you to roll navigate if you have it.
Do I do that as well?
All of you,
I'm with
I have the base 10%.
That's
I
right.
also-
33 does not hit the base 10%.
Nope, 61 does not hit the base 10.
My navigate is not as good as my natural world, but we must navigate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just barely with 1 point.
Fail.
All right. So the only one who passed was Theodore, and he's kind of got some, knowledge of wilderness because he's a tracker. Let's do this. Ooh. So you wander a bit, and you kind of lost, once you're in that forest, you've kind of lost track of direction. But Theodore kind of knows some things about woods and how to kind of navigate, and he thinks he's kind of going in the right direction. So after 4 hours and hearing noises off in the distance and trying to stay away from them, Theodore, you suddenly come out of a clearing, or you're on the edge of a clearing, and you can see now that you are at the edge of the Chigani, the Romani encampment, which has become somewhat permanent. You see them before they see you. What do you want to do?
I'll point this out in a lowered voice to Dr. Kurz and Gunther, who I'm with. We can't go on. We have to go back and find Dorian and Dr. Neruda.
Yeah, but how are we going to find them? They were running 90 degrees off from us. I mean,
Yeah.
Perhaps the locals can help us. I wonder if they revere this woman or fear her.
I think we should just play it cool. As far as they know, we went out there and just talked to her, bought a piece of statuary.
Oh, yeah. Thursby, is there something you can put the arm in so it doesn't look as though you have just attacked the old woman and stolen a piece of statuary? Wrap it up, at least with.
I don't really have any. Container for this. I guess maybe.
No, you probably had. Well, I don't know if you managed to keep your sack and your backpack and stuff. Maybe you did because it was on you. It had food in it before, but the food's gone everywhere.
Would I do like a luck roll to see if I
do a luck roll? Yeah, see if you've got some.
Hopefully, my good luck can hold. Oh, 42. Yeah, that works, and that's the perfect number.
Yeah.
42.
You got a bag of holding.
The bag of holding.
Nice.
Okay.
So, we don't know. We've mostly heard the local Chigani speaking. Maybe that was what was being spoken in the kitchen also, that we would not be that familiar with.
Yeah.
So
Now,
yeah,
as far as the story you were discussing a minute ago, you guys are scratched up and torn up, and you've got bloody scratches, and your clothes are all torn up from running through the woods.
Yeah, there's a big bear that got us, and we have to get our friends out of there.
yeah. Maybe we just say we lost some friends in the woods. There was something attacking us, and we are not so specific. There's enough language difficulty probably that.
Yeah. Can use big animal, scary, scary animal.
Let's go do that instead of
big.
Yeah.
All right. So you're gonna walk into the village then.
Yep.
Okay. The moment that somebody sees you, a bit of an alarm goes up, and a few people start coming out towards you, and it says, at first they don't, they speak, some language, Romani maybe, and then they try Serbian, and they're looking at you, obviously, like you've gone through some sort of trauma. With their actions, you can see they're basically, who are you? What were you doing out in the woods?
Any of these people look familiar from the ceremony from the previous?
Yeah, I mean, you think so? Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. So
you spoke to some of them, so
yeah. Yeah, I'll try German, English, and French and see if I can make any inroads.
You get a little bit out of that, yeah. And they say, please, come with us. And they get the elder Markovich. He comes out and he says, you were the people yesterday at the festival. What has happened to you? You look like you've been running from something.
Yeah, big bear, big bear. We lost two of our two companions. Are not sure if it's a bear, big animal with sharp teeth.
He yells something back to some of his people, and I mean, you get the impression just from his hand gestures that he's like saying, "There's two people in the woods. Go find them." Do you know what area this way?
I'd look to Theodore because I got totally lost with that navigate roll.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty well. I kind of like
We will find your friends. And you said a bear, so immediately they arm up.
Yeah, not sure what it was. Guessing a bear, but it didn't see it. It was pretty quick. Big and dangerous. Be very careful.
Well, please come in. You're safe now. My people will find your friends, and if they encounter the bear, they will take care of the bear.
You're very kind, Mr. Markovich.
So he takes you to a place where you can at least sit down. In a similar manner, they feed you, or they give you something to drink and to feed you.
Tea and some bread. If we have privacy, and either of their injuries seem like something that this blade could help with, I would suggest some small adjustments.
Well, it seems like Dorian has the worst of it.
He's not there either.
Dorian is lost
that's
in
right.
the woods.
That's right.
Yes, I'm lost in the woods.
Those block are just banged up a little bit, so there's nothing for the blade to.
Right, scratches, but scratches will heal.
For the blade to help.
Does
Markovich seem suspicious when we say that there are bears attacking?
Markowitz seems suspicious of everyone, except his family. They have been very badly mistreated in the past. So, but at the moment, he seems to be giving you the hospitality. But maybe he has more questions. Yes. So this bear, it chased you?
Well, we thought it was, but apparently it didn't, because of course it would have caught us. It's much faster than we are. But I, it's a little embarrassing to say now that I'm in safety, but I panicked and ran. That's why it's all scratched up. And
Our instinct is to preserve ourselves, so we run, yes, but why were you out in the woods?
Hamarkovich, the reputation that your peoples have in Europe is that you are superstitious, yeah, or you do, or believe in magic. All these things are said.
Well, we are Orthodox, so we have given up much of that, but we are people who have lived in the waste places, so we have seen things and we know things, and we have traditions that make sure that we are careful.
Yeah, we were not careful, I think, is why our friends are lost. Do you do business with the wise woman in the forest, this Baba Zora?
Baba Zora? He spits on the ground.
Yeah.
He says, there is something terribly wrong with that woman.
Quickly, before you get farther away.
He becomes very animated.
Yeah, what we said was about is Baba Zora. So if you can call your men back and warn them. We were attacked by Baba Zora, and she is in the forest. She was crushed and came back.
He motions for some of his other people to come over and points, go tell them, this.
Our apologies for not warning you more. We did not wish to seem as though we were insane ourselves.
I had a very serious fight with her not too long ago. She Luminista thinks that she is not what she claims to be. And have you? And he says, you say superstition. There are old legends in these parts about a creature that lives in the woods that is well, I don't know. You seem intelligent. Have you ever heard of Baba Yaga?
Yeah, the Russian bitch.
A kind of earth spirit that lives out. They call her Baba Yaga. I can't remember, suddenly. Skinny legs or iron legs, something like that. In the legend, she flies about in a mortar and pestle, hunts for people to consume. She lives in a hut called Izbushka, and it walks about on chicken legs.
The feet, Hamarkovich, reminded me of chickens, but the legs had too many joints, and the house is something worse than a house. It has its own hunger and violence.
He immediately yells for other people, come, like this. And he tells them something, and they all go running off to get weapons. And they come back. He says, what you are talking about is a very dangerous entity that lives in the woods. We've never known where it was, but you're describing the Watcher of the Woods. Or the Walker in the Woods. Tree-like, monstrous.
Yeah.
A vicious thing. And there are always three witches associated with it. They are the Baba Yaga. They are older than time.
Three witches. So one was Baba Zora, one was the young woman Xerxa.
A young woman, an old woman, and a middle-aged woman.
Yeah. Do you think that the middle-aged woman could be married to the village priest?
Well, I don't know. She's not a very nice woman, but the priest, Father Filipovich, is a very nice man.
Yeah, perhaps he is in some delusion.
Or
my friend heard her speaking with other voices in the night.
At this point, you see that somebody is leading the wise woman out towards you, Luminista Vinklovich, who's much older. But he starts talking to her, and they have a conversation, and he orders some of the men to gather together, get their weapons. And he says to you, he says, if the watcher in the woods is about, then we need to stop it and hunt it. It will be very dangerous. I'd like you to do a spot hidden.
Those are my friends. I'm going to join this hunt.
Fail.
Extreme success. 0-6.
It's a fail. Darn it. Just missed by 2.
So, Roland, you're standing there, and a crowd is gathering, not only of men, but of women and others. You see a woman in the crowd that she looks like she is maybe 25 or 30 years old, but she is the spitting image of Serka, the young woman. And she's walking up and she's listening to what you guys are talking about, with a look of a little bit of fear in her face.
May I have a word privately, Markovich?
Yes, and the Luminista wants to hear anything you have to say too.
Yeah.
Well, she doesn't understand, but they can translate. And she says, yes.
So when we went to find Baba Zora in the forest, there was an attractive young woman there who was in her service and attacked us at some point. Do you know a young woman named Xerxa? There's a woman in the village who came to listen now to the general outcry, and she looked very much. So the house stood up, and it crushed the old woman, and then the old woman, the young woman approached the old woman, and she was sucked into her. Everything.
He turns to look at the girl that you're talking about, and he says for her to come forward, and he says, this is Marina. Marina, come. And he speaks to her in Serbian, and her eyes open wide, and she speaks back, and he says, her twin sister went missing when she was 12, but she would have been exactly the same age, and you can see that there's a big age difference, as if Serka wasn't aging.
So I was coming on to a 12-year-old. creepy. Yeah, yeah. Tried to crush this
She
little
was
girl's
mauled.
neck.
We believed that she was eaten by a bear, but she disappeared. But Marina has insisted that she occasionally would see Circa out in the woods, and when she ran, she couldn't catch her. But she was always convinced that her sister was still alive.
I'm sorry to say that she was correct in some ways, if not in others. I don't know if she was exactly alive.
Yeah.
So he says if the Baba Yaga has captured one of us and killed one of us, then we have all the more reason to hunt this thing down and stop it. So he puts together a party. Oh, do you want to join?
Yes.
And go with?
We have to find our friends, and we owe these people a great deal for causing this trouble and for our own survival. Okay. So, yeah.
Meanwhile, Dorian and Dr. Neruda, you are stumbling through the woods, lost, and probably pretty scared. You've already been walking around, stumbling around for about 4 hours, and you've started to think that you may be crossing your own paths as you're working your way through the woods. You might see something where you broke over a branch, and there's the branch, and you seem to be...
I think we're going in circles.
Oh, what is going on? Neruda.
What?
I must confess I am pretty terrified because what we saw in the forest reminds me of a childhood story that young Polish kids get told.
What story would that be?
Well, the tale of Baba Yaga.
I am somewhat familiar.
Yes, it is a childhood folktale told to most Poles and most people on the coast. Most people along the Russian line. Yes, it's just that house. It could be a coincidence, but the house definitely.
Well, I would, as we've learned throughout our journey over these last few weeks, there is some credence to these darker fairy tales and stories. Perhaps, while it's not an exact match of this Baba Yaga story, it's clear to me now that that story bore some of its details from a very real, very malign, ungodly thing. Whatever that was, that we went inside thinking it was a house.
You listen.
Well, everything preys on us. I succeed with a. Actually, I need to check to see if that is.
Oh my god!
What that is? Just a hard success.
3 zeros.
Okay. Well, you don't hear it, but suddenly Dorian grabs a hold of you, and he sort of pulls you down, so that you're hunkered down. Dorian, what you can hear, it sounds like something off in the distance moving through the woods. You can hear the sound of like branches breaking, and it's definitely coming towards you. What do you guys want to do?
Cower in fear.
Gabriel, I whisper, we need to stay down, and if we move, we need to stay low. I didn't hear a word of that, Gabriel.
You don't need to tell me twice.
Okay.
So as you are hunkered down, you can hear it. You can hear it sounds like multiple legs. It sounds like things moving in your direction. And then you hear voices, men's voices. And as you peek through, you can see 5 or 6 people in the woods, very carefully and quietly moving as if they were on a hunt.
We are over there.
Oh, geez.
Who the hell are those guys?
I don't know. I can't tell.
As soon as they start getting closer, you're pretty sure you can see Theodore with his clothes kind of torn up and maybe a little trickle of blood down his face. And they are armed and carefully looking for something.
Neruda, it's those fez wearers. Run away. I'm joking.
I'm going to. They all seemed very armed and ready to shoot something, so I don't want to startle them. So
Yes.
I'll just be like, slowly start to like stand up with my hands visible.
I will
And just
also
be like,
do that.
Theodore!
And Theodore, you see him. Yeah.
Theodore.
Gabriel! Dorian! Oh, that's them.
Oh,
Guys, we
we
found them.
thought you were the thing.
Keep it down. Keep your voices down.
All right.
Here you were dead.
So what happens is this. You spend at least a couple of hours traipsing through the woods, looking for signs of this. You actually make it to the clearing where all of this happened. There is no hut. The ground has been literally torn to shreds. But you can also see that there was something there once, because there are large marble tiles that, in the process of this thing ripping itself out of the ground, it ripped out something like maybe there was an old Roman ruin or something that was there. The tiles are surprisingly colorful, but a little faded from times gone by. Dr. Dorian, you might recognize some of this as pre-Roman stuff, pagan Roman, early stuff.
Yes. Interesting.
That it might have been the floor of a temple that had once been there. But you don't find the monster, and you don't find Baba Yaga. You head back towards camp as night is coming down, and the Romani feed you, and they help to dress your wounds. They seem to have their own forms of medicine, poultices and things like that. And they say, it must have run off. We might go out and hunt it tomorrow, but you probably need to get back to civilization.
Yeah.
You're going to have
the village we left was very friendly with the woman Baba Zora. Do you think?
Yeah, Orishach.
Yeah. Do you think that it is safe for us to return there under the circumstances?
The only real relationship that they had with her was through Father Filipovich. She used to go into town and buy food. She hasn't done that in a long time. And I had a very serious argument with her. She really didn't want us to perform the ritual that we do every year anymore. But Luminista says the old reasons for the ritual was to keep the town safe. And the way it keeps them safe is it brings down a kind of blessing on the individuals who participate, which makes them completely unpalatable for the evil. My guess is that you were chosen because you are not part of the town.
Wow.
I mean, this would also explain why, if Anna is the third witch, the one that fits in the middle stage of life of the three, her disdain towards the ritual.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and the childless household, because she is not, as we understand it, a natural woman, and the voices that were heard in the kitchen. Is there some way
she doesn't
priest?
seem as old as she should be.
Yeah.
She's an aged right.
Theodore, did the voices you heard of the night, did they remind you of the old crone and the young lady from the nightmare hut?
It's kind of seared into your mind now that that's exactly what it was.
That was then.
You didn't spark your memory at the time, but now it does.
Yeah. This is all fitting into place.
Yeah, I like
Well,
that.
we need to get you back. We need to get you back to Orishach. You need to get back to Alexandrovich so that you can get a train back to Belgrade.
Well, we are very grateful for your assistance. If there's anything we can do, please ask it of us.
Yeah, if you got money.
The poor
yes, yeah.
one who was throwing out the ducats, so you can hit him up.
All right. So we'll end it like this. You guys manage to get back to Orishach. And the significant thing that you find in Orishach is that Father Filipovich is beside himself in grief because Anna seems to have shriveled up and desiccated all of a sudden, and there's no explanation for it. He's absolutely devastated that his loving wife has suddenly died of what looks like, I don't know, weird consumption. So the people are comforting him. He doesn't seem to make any kind of connection. You know, people die, people get sick and die. It's so suddenly he's devastated. But you then make the walk back to the train station, and you take the train back to, I think it was Andreevich or something like that. And there you have to get onto the train that goes back to the train station in Belgrade. But when you are in Alexandrovich, you're waiting there to get on the train. And as you were waiting there, there is suddenly a commotion down the street in the town, and a little girl comes running around the corner screaming, and she's saying, Tata, I can't say this in that language, but it sounds, the people are suddenly confused as she says it, and they all look where she's running from, and around the corner of onto the main street of the town and moving in your direction are what look like 10,000 black chickens that are just flowing like water in your direction. And the people are screaming suddenly and trying to run in the house, and these birds are pecking at them and attacking them, and they're all heading right towards you. What do you guys want to do?
Is there any like something I can climb up on? Because I just
Yeah,
like a
barrels and
flood.
benches and
Yeah, try and get up on something. So like I'm assuming they're just stampeding, just letting stampede past me.
oh, it's not going to pass you. They're coming
Oh,
right at you, and you can see their little talons and their beaks. And um, uh, uh, chickens usually look pretty harmless, but when they're mad and they're
oh,
angry
they
and
get,
they're attacking,
yeah, sharp crap.
It's Dorian that they want.
Yeah, throw
No.
I think that they would
take me. No.
No.
their little beaks.
Is there shelter?
Nothing
now
compared to the swiftness of the Memsahis.
there are people that are screaming and jumping out of the way as they're being somewhat attacked. There are children everywhere that are suddenly screaming. And what do you want to do? You just mentioned the Memsahis. That will cut through any chicken line.
Walk forward towards this black feathery flow and swing evenly back and forth.
Okay.
Is there any lanterns? Because I'm thinking, flame animals are generally instinctively scared of fire. So
I am still very injured, so I can't really do a lot.
Yeah, we need to protect Dorian, get him inside.
Okay. So Theodore, you're going to help Dorian get inside. How about you, Dr. Naruto?
I
mean, you can improvise
suppose-
anything around you that you might find. So
Yeah, I want to like grab something heavy, whether that be like a plank from something or a pipe that's been abandoned, a wrench, just something that's been discarded, because I want to help bat away any that get around Roland.
okay.
So he doesn't get surrounded.
You guys have people too and children running in your direction, trying to stay away from the chickens. I'll just truncate it and say that you guys have a 15-minute battle with chickens everywhere. You can all roll. Well, let's see what I roll first.
Theodore get the axe from.
yeah,
I got a regular roll, so you guys can all roll. We'll call it brawl,
Okay.
and if you fail, you'll take a point of damage.
I take a
I
point of
failed.
damage.
Ow.
Okay.
Get pecked pretty
You
good.
can also do sanity rolls again, because fuck.
Yeah. A lot of organized
I
chickens.
passed sanity. I can mentally handle the chickens if I can't
I
physically
failed
fend them off properly.
I failed the brawl, so I am down to 3 HP.
Okay.
All right, the blade is feeling very full and powerful right now.
I'll give Dorian a bonus roll just because you guys are kind of protecting him.
Oh,
Okay. I failed my sanity, but that's serious.
Yeah.
I got even worse on that for the roll. I got 99.
All right, so they get around. There's a lot of them, so they get around you and they peck at you and they poke at you. So just take one point of sanity if you fail.
Okay, 1 point.
I am not.
There's got to be a point in your adventure when you're kind of going, okay, I'm not surprised something horrible is happening.
10,000 chickens.
After 15 minutes of fighting, and the people have also sort of joined in on this. There's kind of a subtle change as the chickens begin to lose the fight. The blackness of their feathers seems to go away, and you realize that you are surrounded not by 10,000 dead chickens, but maybe a few dozen. And people are now upset because they realize that they've killed their own chickens. And they seem to kind of blame you because this all seemed to happen because of your presence. Do you want to do anything?
I think we just offer them the fair market value for their chickens.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, as long as I get the chicken, so I can have something to eat.
Yeah, we're
bloody chicken.
Yeah,
relatively wealthy. Be happy to pay them.
That's cool. All right, so that takes care of that. Now, slight epilogue. So you get back to Belgrade. Your timetable. Where is my timetable? Let's see. You're in Belgrade. You're leaving Belgrade, heading towards Sofia. We'll say that's just after. It's at 1:49 that the train departs. You get on that train. No, wait a second. I want you to get on the 8:53 p.m. train. So you're on the 8:53 p.m. train. You get on the train. You're exhausted. You've cleaned yourself up. You've bandaged your wounds, or Dr. Kurz has your wounds. I'd like you all to do spot hiddens again.
No. Oh, phooey. I think that's under this.
Extreme.
25 is a pass.
You got the hard success.
Hard success.
Yeah. So, Gunther, you got the extreme.
Mm-hmm.
So as you're on the Orient Express and things, you're getting some food and you're trying to relax, and somebody is playing the piano in the lounge. You're trying to overcome. Gunther, you look out the window and there's just a little bit of light left from the sunset in the sky. You start to notice that there is something moving out there as the train is going. Those of you who passed, you also seem to see something out there running along beside the train, maybe 100, 200 feet away. And then, Gunter, the moon starts to rise and you start to see light. And what you see is Baba on top of this gigantic spider thing running along beside the train. And you can see her with her arms like this, and she's definitely glaring at you, but she doesn't seem to be approaching the train. The others, you start to see this too, and if you point it out to the ones who didn't notice it, you can see that she is chasing along beside you. The train moves on, and it gets to a point where you guys cross a river. And when it gets to that point, she stops. She stops on the other side, and you see, Gunter is probably the only one that sees this. The whole spider sort of seems to collapse and become a hut, and then it's out of your visual range. That's where we will end it. Our players included Morgan Llewellyn, David Gassaway, Stuart Lively, Keith Craig, and Josh Harwood, with yours truly as the Keeper of Arcane Lore. We have a Discord server where you can chat with our other members, you can set up private games, and you can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows, free for you to download from Podbean, Spotify, or iTunes. If you'd like to help support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 a month helps us a lot. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.